When your husband of 12 years tells you over coffee that he wants a divorce and hands you a business card for his lawyer, you don't scream. You freeze dot, and when you meet that lawyer and realize this whole thing wasn't spontaneous, but planned for months behind your back, you don't cry. You plan dot, my name is Jenna Cole. I was 38 when this happened. I thought I had a solid marriage, a predictable life, and a good man beside me. I was wrong about all three. What started as a shocking betrayal turned into the best lesson of my life. Because when someone tries to write you out of your own story, the best revenge is picking up the pen yourself. And I didn't just rewrite the ending. I rewrote his. Asterisk, when your husband of 12 years tells you over coffee that he wants a divorce and hands you a business card for his lawyer, you don't scream. You freeze dot, and when you meet that lawyer and realize this whole thing wasn't spontaneous, but planned for months behind your back, you don't cry. You plan dot, my name is Jenna Cole. I was 38 when this happened. I thought I had a solid marriage, a predictable life, and a good man beside me. I was wrong about all three dot. It started on a Saturday morning, the sun barely up. Greg sat across from me at our kitchen table, holding his coffee like it was armor. I want a divorce, he said. Just like that, no motion, no build-up. He slid a sleek white card across the table. I recognized the name, Daniel Briggs. High-end divorce attorney, ruthless reputation. Greg didn't just wake up and decide this. He prepared dot. My mouth went dry. Why? He shrugged. We're not working. Haven't been for a while. I think it's best if we end things like adults. As if I hadn't given him 12 years, supported his startup, missed promotions for him, buried 2 miscarriages, and still made dinner. Is there someone else? Another shrug. Does it matter? I took the card and nodded. I'll call him Monday. I didn't call Monday. I went to the gym. I got my nails done. I deep cleaned the pantry. I let him think I was falling apart. Then Friday morning, I walked into Daniel Briggs' office in a navy blue suit and heels that meant business. Daniel was sleek, smug, and already had the paperwork ready. Greg said you want to make this easy, did he? I smiled. I signed nothing. I took nothing. I thanked Daniel and left. That night, I opened a new bank account. Then I went into our shared one and moved exactly half. I knew Greg would see it. I wanted him to. That was step 1. Asterisk, I didn't cry. Not when the papers hit the table. Not when his lawyer called me, ma'am, like I was just another legal hiccup in Brad's perfect little narrative. Not even when I signed the documents. But that night after the call, I sat on my bed now, I guess, and stared at the spot where Brad used to leave his wristwatch. The indentation in the wood was still there, like it missed him. Brad and I had been together for almost 9 years, married for 6. I thought we were solid. Not perfect, but not fragile. He was always busy, but I figured that was just life. Everyone's tired. Everyone's juggling. But it wasn't until that week that I realized just how far apart we'd drifted, or maybe how far he'd run dot. It started with a receipt. I was clearing out the kitchen drawer, the one that collects pens and loose batteries and expired coupons, when I found it. A receipt from a high-end Italian restaurant across town, dated 2 months ago, for 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, and a dessert. Brad had told me he was in Dallas that weekend. Thought it could have been a client dinner. It could have been anything. But the handwritten note on the back? That's what did it. Can't wait for our next weekend. Not a name, just an initial. Like a mystery novel dot. My stomach dropped, but my hands were steady. That scared me the most. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't spiraling. I was just cold. Focused, like something in me had finally snapped into place. I didn't call him. I didn't scream. I didn't demand answers. I logged into our shared cell phone account, Months of calls to a Lauren W. Work number, mostly. Some late night. A few in the morning. Texts too, hundreds. I created a spreadsheet. Time, duration, frequency. I cross-referenced them with Brad's calendar invites. And you know what? It all fit: the off-site meetings, the client dinners, the networking trips. He wasn't even clever about it. Lauren was real. A consultant for a firm we'd worked with years ago. I remembered her vaguely blonde, tall, too many bracelets. She'd flirted with Brad at the holiday party, but I thought she was just one of those people who flirted with everyone wrong. So I did what any rational woman would do. I made an appointment with his lawyer not to renegotiate, not to argue. To learn. I showed up in a beige blazer and a smile. Sighed I wanted clarification on the asset split. While we chatted, I pretended to fumble through my bag. My phone already recording peeked out just enough to catch audio. His lawyer was too smug to notice. He spilled more than he should have. Turns out Brad had already moved funds, a lot of them, into a private account under a dummy LLC. The divorce filing? Just a way to cut me loose before the audit came through. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about love. It never was. It was about liability. Brad was covering his tracks. And I was supposed to roll over and make it easy. So I didn't. I went home, poured a glass of wine, and opened a new folder on my desktop. Operation Final Draft. Because Brad always said life was about shaping your own story. He just never expected me to become the author. Wasn't sleeping much by that point. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Derek's face during his breakdown. The red eyes, the sweat beading at his temple, the way he kicked his office chair like a tantrum-throwing toddler. It was satisfying. But it wasn't enough. And then came the mysterious message. You're not the only one watching. We remember what Derek did Lily. Lily, my throat still clenched when I thought about her. We weren't close, not really. But she'd been sweet, brilliant, one of the most precise fact-checkers I'd ever worked with. I remembered the rumors about why she left: mental breakdown, paranoia. But something never sat right. I started digging. No social media presence. No forwarding address. No mention of her in the company's employee portal, like she never existed. But I knew where she used to live. So I took a train. Her apartment was abandoned, empty, but someone had taped a manila envelope to the inside of her mailbox. My name was scrawled on the front in block letters. Inside, USB drive. No note. Back home, I plugged it into a burner laptop. Password protected folder. Red room. The password? LEY. Once inside, I found raw footage. Unedited clips. Not just from exposes, but from off-air moments. Things no one should have been recording. Private conversations in dressing rooms. Secret meetings with whistleblowers. People talking freely because they thought the cameras were off. And there was Derek on camera, laughing, saying things that could end his career 10 times over. I don't give a damn if it's real. We make them think it's real. Fear sells. Truth is optional. I had everything I needed. Now I needed an audience. So I resurrected an old idea. The cut room behind the curtain exposed about media manipulation. I packaged the footage into a tight 7-minute short film. Just enough to start a storm. Then I leaked it, not from my account. Not from the Finsta. I submitted it anonymously to a rising independent news YouTube channel known for calling out corruption. It dropped on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, it had over 2 million views. By lunch, Derek's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Eastline released a statement. We are conducting an internal investigation. By Thursday, he was on indefinite leave. And by Friday, I got another message. That was step 1. Ready for step 2? It was from the same ghost account. I replied. Who are you? Their answer. Someone Lily trusted. Someone who knows what Eastline really is. They sent a file. It was a spreadsheet. Thousands of entries. Names, dates. Payouts. A secret fund Eastline. Used to pay off whistleblowers, victims, lawsuits. Derek's name was all over it, but so was Avery's and a few others. I never expected. This wasn't just about Derek anymore. It was about the system. The whole damn machine. And it was rotting from the inside. To be continued. I thought I'd feel powerful when it all burned down. Instead, I just felt still. Everything moved around me. Headlines, firings, statements, rumors, but inside I was motionless. Like the eye of a storm I'd summoned. Eastline media was unraveling. Avery had vanished from socials. Derek's name wasn't on the morning lineup anymore. I watched quietly from my apartment in Long Island City, coffee in hand, Gus curled up next to me like I hadn't just set fire to a legacy I helped build. But the Lily message stayed with me. I kept thinking about her. What had she seen? The more I remembered, the more I realized Derek's cruelty wasn't random. It was curated. He didn't just destroy careers, he archived them. And when people got too close to whatever was underneath the polished surface, they disappeared. So I did something reckless. I logged into Eastline's deepest archive vault, the part even I wasn't supposed to have access to. It required multi-factor. Good thing the old IT guy, Marty, owed me for not reporting his fantasy football habit. I tunneled through years of buried data, and there she was, Lily Moreno. Her last project was something called Project Flatline, a documentary about corruption in local police departments. She'd been researching the death of a teenage boy in upstate New York. No press, no public record. But a cop named Jensen was in every one of her interview notes. That name hit something in my brain like a tuning fork. Then I found it in email. From Derek to legal, Lily's notes are unsubstantiated. Kill the segment. Her contract ends next cycle. 2 days later, she was gone. Not just fired. Gone. The whisper I kept hearing in anonymous emails. The weird Twitter mentions, the messages on the underscore cut down room, they all made sense now. There was a silent coalition forming. People Derek had stepped on. Ghosts of Eastline, I wasn't the only one who wanted justice, but I was the only one close enough to cut cleanly. I requested a meeting, not anonymously, not through a fake account, but in person. I walked into Eastline's lobby in a tailored navy blazer, hair tied back, thumb drive in my pocket like a weapon. Security didn't blink. Derek did. His office was half-packed. He looked smaller than I remembered. Pale like his. Armor had rusted. Harper, he said like he was greeting a ghost. You know why I'm here? He nodded. I won't fight you, he said. Just tell me what you want. I paused. Because this was the moment, right? Where I could expose him, drop the thumb drive on the table, burn what was left of his reputation, and salt the ground. But then I remembered what I learned in therapy. Sometimes forgiveness is the cruelest punishment of all. I want you to confess, I said. Not because I made you, because you know it's over. He blinked. He didn't say no. You destroyed people, Derek. You manipulated, gaslit, blacklisted, and you never even looked back. He sat down slowly. What if I say yes? What if I give you names? Notes? Help take Eastline down with me. I don't need that, I said. I just needed to know I could end you, and now I do. I placed the thumb drive on the table. Here's the insurance. All the secrets you buried. I'm not publishing it. Not yet. But if anything happens to me, it goes live. His face twisted into something almost like fear. I stood up. I forgive you, Derek, and I hope it eats you alive. That was 3 months ago. Eastline is a different beast now. New execs. New ethics policy. And a sudden interest in transparency. As for me, I started a new show. Not on TV, on YouTube. The cut room became more than a finsta. It's a place where media stories get unpacked, where the invisible hands get named. We did an episode on Project FLATLINE. And at the end, I told Lily's story. Her sister reached out afterward. Sighed, she cried. Through the whole thing, sometimes revenge isn't fire. Sometimes it's sunlight, the kind that makes rot impossible to hide. And when I look in the mirror now, I don't see a woman who was thrown away. I see a woman who rewrote the script. Fade to black.
I still remember the morning like it was a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. The sun was barely up, and I was already drowning in spreadsheets and balance sheets at Skyline Financial, the place I'd called my second home for the last 7 years. My job was operations manager, a title that came with long hours, tight deadlines, and a mountain of responsibility. But I loved it. I loved the grind, the numbers, the constant hustle. That day, I was double-checking a report for an upcoming board meeting, coffee cup in hand, headphones on, when my phone buzzed. A message from HR. Short, unsettling. Please come to the conference room immediately. There's a meeting regarding your employment. My heart skipped a beat. I told myself it was routine, maybe a discussion about performance or a new project. I wasn't worried. I trusted the work I'd done. But when I walked into that cold, glass-walled conference room, the atmosphere hit me like a freight train. The HR director sat at the head of the table, expression unreadable. Next to her, the company's legal counsel stared silently. A couple of senior executives were there too, their faces grim. The door clicked shut behind me. I took a seat, trying to keep calm. The HR director began, voice flat, rehearsed. Ryan, we have to inform you that your employment is being terminated. Effective immediately. My breath caught. Wait, what? Why? The legal counsel slid a thick folder across the table, toward me. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside, documents and bank statements. Records of unauthorized wire transfers. Fake invoices with forged signatures. All traced back to my employee ID. Embezzlement, the legal counsel said plainly. Misappropriation of company funds. I stared, disbelieving. This had to be a mistake. I was the last person who'd expect this. I was loyal, hard-working. I'd stayed late, fixed mistakes no one else wanted to touch, built trust with clients and colleagues alike. Someone's made a terrible mistake, I said. This isn't me. The HR director shook her head. The evidence is conclusive. We have to proceed. I felt my world crumbling. Then it hit me. The last person who had access to my files was Marcus, my best friend, my partner in the trenches. Since college, the guy I trusted more than anyone in the world. I remembered the small things now, how Marcus always had a knack for being in the right place at the right time. How he had recently taken over some of my tasks just to help. How he was always too quick to volunteer for extra work on financial audits. I swallowed hard. I had to confront him. That night, I met Marcus at our old favorite bar. It was supposed to be a casual catch-up, a chance to unwind, but it felt like walking into a trap. I asked him, point blank, Marcus, did you have anything to do with this? He smiled, but it wasn't the warm, friendly smile I remembered. It was cold, calculated. Ryan, he said, sometimes you have to lose a battle to win the war. I felt a chill. What are you saying? That the company's changing, and you're not part of the future? His words hit me like a punch. was betrayed by my best friend. Over the next few days, the rumors spread, the whispers behind my back, the sideways glances from former colleagues. I was blacklisted. My phone stopped ringing. The apartment lease was terminated. Early, I lost everything. But I wasn't broken, no, I was furious. And I knew one thing for sure. Marcus thought he won, but the real game was just beginning. Asterisk man. That first month after everything went sideways was brutal. Like every day felt heavier than the last. I was stuck in this haze, jobless, broke, and with everyone around me acting like I was guilty without even hearing my side. It's one thing to lose a job, but to have your best friend stab you in the back and everyone just swallow that story whole. That hurt on a whole different level. But I wasn't about to sit back and take it. Nope, not me. I knew Marcus was behind the whole setup. The question was, how the hell do I prove it? So, I started digging. I went back through emails, files, timestamps, anything I could get my hands on. I spent nights scrolling through logs, looking for anything that didn't add up. I was basically a detective now, piecing together a puzzle that was designed to destroy me. One night, after everyone had cleared out of the office, I snuck back in. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but desperate times, man. I booted up my old laptop, connected to the company server, and started digging for dirt. That's when I found a hidden folder Marcus had created. This folder was like his secret little diary of all the shady stuff he'd been up to. Fake invoices, forged transactions, messages between him and some sketchy execs trying to cover their tracks. It wasn't just a slip-up, it was a full-blown conspiracy, and worst of all, he planned to pin it all on me so he could climb the corporate ladder clean. At that moment, I felt a weird mix of things. Anger, hell yeah, but also relief, because now I had the ammo I needed. But I knew I couldn't rush this. I couldn't just storm into the office, waving evidence around and hope it stuck. I had to be smart, patient, so I started tracking Marcus' texts, phone calls, even the times he left the office. I hacked into his phone a couple of times, caught him planning fake invoices and covering his tracks. Every move he made, I was there, watching, recording. Meanwhile, I reached out to some old colleagues and clients who still trusted me. No drama, no shouting matches, just casual meets coffee, lunch, quick calls. Slowly, I was rebuilding my reputation piece by piece, and when the time was right, I sent the evidence anonymously to the company's audit team. Then I waited days, felt like years. Finally, the call came. "We need you to come in," said the audit team. "Marcus's numbers don't add up." I smiled. That was the moment I'd been waiting for. "If you want, I can continue with chapter 3 in the same detailed, conversational style. Just say the word." Walking into that conference room felt surreal. The same place where I'd been blindsided weeks ago now felt like my stage. Except this time, I wasn't the victim. I was the one holding the cards. The audit team had laid out everything. Wire transfers with Marcus's fingerprints all over them. Emails where he talked about framing me like it was no big deal. Phone recordings where he laughed about taking me down. The evidence was bulletproof. But here's the kicker. I wasn't just after Marcus. No, I found out he wasn't working alone. A few higher-ups in the company were in on the scheme, using Marcus as their fall guy. It was bigger than I thought. I handed over everything I had, every screenshot, every recording, every secret conversation. I wanted Marcus to not only lose his job, but to watch his entire world collapse. And it did. Board members froze accounts. Marcus was suspended, pending investigation. The rumors started swirling like a tornado. His friends stopped answering calls. His social media went dark. Meanwhile, I started patching things up with former clients and co-workers. Slowly but surely, my reputation came back. I wasn't just the guy who got fired anymore. I was the guy who survived and fought back. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. "He's done. You won." I stared at the screen and felt a hollow victory. Because it wasn't just about winning. It was about reclaiming my life. I started my own consulting firm soon after. No flashy ads, no loud announcements, just hard work and integrity. And the clients came back. Sometimes, when the city quieted down, I'd think about Marcus, about the friendship that turned into betrayal. But I never responded to the letter he sent later, saying, "I underestimated you. I'm sorry. Some things are better left unsaid." After months of waiting and watching, the final act of this whole nightmare was finally playing out. The company had launched a full-scale internal investigation into the fraud, and Marcus was officially out of the picture. But for me, this was about more than just Marcus losing his job. It was about reclaiming every part of my life he tried to steal. I remember the day I got the news. The board had voted to push for criminal charges, and the FBI was involved. It wasn't just corporate politics anymore. It was serious. Marcus wasn't just a corrupt employee. He was a criminal. Walking into that courtroom months later, seeing him sit there in handcuffs, felt surreal. The smug, arrogant guy who'd laughed in my face when I confronted him was now quiet, defeated. The weight of his own lies finally crashing down. But the victory wasn't just about Marcus getting what he deserved. It was about the journey I'd taken to get here. After losing my job and reputation, it was tempting to just disappear, move away, start fresh somewhere nobody knew me. But that wasn't who I was. I had to fight back, piece by piece. I rebuilt my life. I started my consulting firm from scratch, working out of a small apartment, taking on any client who would give me a chance. No fancy marketing campaigns, no flashy promises, just hard work and honesty. There were days I questioned myself, wondering if it was worth it. Watching the company I loved fall apart under the weight of greed and betrayal was painful. But each time I felt weak, I reminded myself why I started. Slowly, things began to turn around. Old clients came back. Friends reached out. My reputation grew not because of hype, but because I stayed true to my values. And through it all, I learned a lot about people, about trust, about betrayal, about the power of resilience. I won't lie, some days still sting. I miss what we had before. Marcus decided to stab me in the back, but I also know that I'm stronger now because of it. The last time I saw Marcus was in court. He looked broken, regret written all over his face. I felt no joy in that, just a quiet sense of closure. I never responded to his apology letter. Some things are better left unsaid. Now, when I walk down the streets of New York, I carry a different kind of pride. Not the pride of winning a fight, but the pride of knowing I refuse to be defeated. Revenge, in the end, isn't about tearing someone else down. It's about building yourself back up. And that's exactly what I did. Asterisk, all right. So that's my story. Crazy, right? Getting betrayed by your best friend, losing everything, then slowly clawing your way back up from the ashes. I won't lie. It wasn't easy. There were moments I wanted to just give up, to walk away and never look back. But something inside me wouldn't let me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was anger. Or maybe just the stubborn refusal to be beaten. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that no matter how low you get, no matter how badly life throws you a curveball, you can fight back. It might take time. It might take patience. But with the right mindset and a little grit, you can come back stronger than ever. And hey, revenge stories like this, they hit hard because they're real. They remind us that life isn't always fair, but how we respond makes all the difference. Now, if you liked this story, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps me out and lets me know you want to hear more stories like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe and tap that notification bell so you never miss a new video. I've got plenty more true stories coming your way, and trust me, some of them are crazier than this one. And hey, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? How did you handle it? Drop your story or your thoughts down in the comments. I read every single one and love hearing what you have to say. Thanks for sticking around and listening. It means a lot. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is just living.
So, this all started with a popcorn craving. I know, weird way to begin a revenge story, but trust me, it's important. I was home alone on a rainy Thursday night in Portland, Oregon. I had just gotten off a brutal Zoom meeting with my marketing team, the kind where people pretend to smile while they internally spiral. I wanted comfort. I wanted to curl up, eat popcorn, and rewatch Parks and Rec on Netflix. I boot up the TV, grab the remote, scroll to my Netflix profiles, and that's when I see it. John's profile. Still there, except John and I had broken up 2 months ago, and not on good terms. He cheated. Emotionally at first, then physically. He swore up and down it wasn't real cheating, whatever that means. Said he just needed clarity. Well, I gave him clarity, a suitcase on the porch, and a very polite bye. But apparently, he was still using my Netflix account. My premium Netflix account. With all the add-ons. That's when the idea started forming. At first, I just renamed his profile. From John to Cheater. I laughed. It felt petty. But not enough. So, I went further. I changed the profile icon to the grinning monkey, you know, the one, and then I switched his maturity settings to toddler mode. Suddenly, all he could watch were COMPİLATION and My Little Pony. I felt electric. But I wasn't done. I opened his watch history. Dude was halfway through Breaking Bad. So I deleted it. Every last episode. He'd have to start from scratch. Then came the final cherry. I uploaded a custom profile icon. Yes, it's possible. A screenshot of the last message I sent him when I found out about him and Rachel from accounting. I hope the clarity was worth it. I screen recorded the whole process and sent it to my best friend Jules. She sent back 5 skull emojis and said, "Post this on TikTok right now." So I did, and it blew up. Like, viral. People started sharing their own petty revenge stories. In the comments, my ex used my Spotify, changed his playlist to whale sounds. One person made a whole Google Slides presentation they printed and mailed to their ex's new partner. But the best part? John texted me, "Very mature, M." So I replied, "More mature than your viewing options, apparently. Enjoy COCOMELON." That should have been the end of it. But it wasn single quotes T dot because 3 days later, I got a DM dot from someone named Jessica. Hey, I think we need to talk about John. Asterisk, you ever play one of those online escape rooms where every puzzle leads to another, and it feels like you're getting closer to something huge, but you're also losing your mind? That was me, except my escape room was a Netflix account, and the prize wasn't treasure, it was proof. After I changed the password, I didn't stop there. I checked the watch history. Turns out, Dear Evan had a thing for K-dramas, true crime docs, and the occasional rom-com titled something like Love in the Time of Pastrami. Cute. But what really caught my eye was the continue watching list. There was a show on there called Dirty Money, Season 2. One episode in particular, The Mole. And that's when the light bulb went off. You see, a year ago, Evan got a job at a mid-sized financial firm. Told everyone it was boring back office stuff. But his hours were weird. His pay jumps didn't make sense. And when I asked questions, he gave me the it's complicated. Babe shrugged. So I googled the firm in the middle of an insider trading investigation. No names named yet. But I'd bet my last bottle of red that Evan was sweating bullets. I started digging through my old texts, voicemails, bank statements. Nothing concrete until I remembered that one time he borrowed my laptop for a quick client call. I hadn't wiped the history. There it was, a draft email saved in Gmail. Not his account, mine. Subject, backup plan. Body, if this hits the fan, I'm flying out Sunday. Check came in folder. Oh, Evan. Now. You'd think I'd go to the feds, right? Or the SEC. But nah, that's not my style. See, the beauty of revenge isn't in the destruction. It's in the art. I created a fake account on LinkedIn, posed as a recruiter for a boutique investment firm. I messaged Evan. Hi Evan, we're super impressed with your background in high-risk asset portfolios. Would love to hop on a call this week. He took the bait. Meanwhile, I logged into his Netflix again and made a few profile changes. Renamed his profile to Rat. Set his avatar to a rodent. Created a new watch list. Ethics for Dummies, Prison Break, The Laundromat, and You Can't Run Forever. Petty? Oh, absolutely. But the real masterpiece was yet to come. I scheduled a Zoom interview for Friday. Told him to be ready for a technical Q&A. Then I spent hours building a fake background using OBS complete with a fake firm logo, fake attendee list, and even a virtual assistant bot named Jill. He logged in wearing his best tie, looking like a kid trying to sell lemonade to the FBI. I smiled, introduced myself as Miss Carter. Then I asked one question. What do you think is the most effective strategy for laundering 7 figures without attracting Vincent's scrutiny? His eyes twitched. His mouth opened, closed, opened again, and then the screen went dark. Disconnected. I laughed so hard, Gus came running into the room, tail wagging. But I wasn't done. Because revenge isn't just about making them panic. It's about letting them know you're always one step ahead. And baby, we were only at episode 2. Asterisk, the moment Evan disconnected from the Zoom call, I knew 2 things. 1, he was definitely guilty. 2, he tried to get ahead of whatever he thought was coming, which meant I had to stay ahead of him. I logged back into his Netflix account, just to check if he'd noticed anything. The rat avatar was gone. He'd renamed the profile private. Cute, but not subtle. That night, I got a notification. A new Google Doc had been added to a shared folder we'd used for grocery lists ages ago. I clicked a title. For H it was a letter. Or maybe a warning. I don't know what you think you know. But if you've been really watching, you'll see this wasn't all my doing. Check the Cayman folder if you must. But be careful. People are watching. Not just you. Chills. I opened my old MacBook. The one he'd borrowed during our golden era. It took some dusting and 17 minutes to boot up. But eventually, I found it. Cayman. A folder buried inside another folder labeled Taxes. 2017. Inside, PDFs. Dozens of them. Transaction records. Internal memos. Photos of wire transfers to offshore accounts. And one labeled, July meeting underscore audio dot M for A. I hit play. Evan's voice, shaky. So we're agreed. If this leaks, it's Ava who takes the fall. Another voice. Male, familiar. Derek Monroe. That. Name again. The same Derek Monroe from Eastline Media. My old boss. The man who orchestrated my firing. Suddenly, it all snapped into place. Evan's financial job. Derek's sudden interest in crypto exposes. The dummy accounts. The Cayman folder. Derek had been laundering money through media shell companies, and Evan, he was his accountant. I stared at the screen. Heart THUDDING. My revenge wasn't just petty now. It was federal. I had enough here to nuke them both. But I didn't call the authorities. Not yet. Instead, I did what any woman with a grudge and a flair for digital drama would do. I packaged the documents, put together a sleek, anonymous press packet, then created a burner email and sent it to 5 investigative reporters. With one subject line, from the vault, the digital paper trail you missed. By morning, it was trending. Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. Hashtag Cayman leak was everywhere. Eastline Media issued a vague statement about rogue employees. Evan deleted his LinkedIn. Derek, he went completely silent. But the cherry on top, 2 days later, I got an email. No sender, no subject, just a single line. You did what Lily couldn't. J. Lily, asterisk that name again. And just like that, I realized this wasn't over. Because revenge stories, they don't end when the villain falls. They end when you realize you were never just a bystander in someone else's plot. You were the author all along. Asterisk, asterisk. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that anonymous message. You did what Lily couldn't. J. But what did Lily try to do? I started digging. Eastline's intranet was gone scrubbed. The Slack archives had been nuked. But there's always a back channel. I remembered an old group chat, cutroom_burner. It used to be a vent space for off-air editors and fact-checkers. Back when we'd clock 18-hour days with no overtime, I typed in the URL for a dead message board we used to haunt. It loaded, half broken, but still breathing. And there she was. Lily Rhodes, username, Redpin11. Last active 3 days before she was fired. Her last post. If this thread goes silent, it wasn't paranoia. It was protocol. There was a video link. Password protected. I tried a few old office memes. Nothing worked. Then I typed cutroom. The video started. Lily disheveled, pale, looking straight at the camera. If you're watching this, it means I failed. I tried to stop Derek. I tried to leak the Cayman files. He found out. Said I had unauthorized access. HR didn't ask questions. But he's not just laundering money. He's blackmailing sources, fabricating exposes. People have disappeared. I felt cold. She continued, her voice cracking. He doesn't just destroy careers. He erases people. I copied what I could too. A drive labeled Nebraska. It's hidden at the lake house. Lake house. I knew the one. Eastline used it for company retreats. One weekend, Derek bragged about having it bugged for employee safety. I packed a bag, drove 6 hours, lied to the gate guard. It was abandoned. I found the dock, the boathouse. Underneath a loose floorboard, a flash drive, wrapped in duct, taped back home. I plugged it in, encrypted files. One folder opened, witness_X, emails, contracts, leaked scripts, fake headlines, videos of Derek coaching anonymous whistleblowers on what to say. This wasn't journalism. This was weaponized media. And Lily had uncovered it all. I had what I needed. So I published it. A blog, a video, data dumps, everything. All under the banner, the Lily Protocol. By morning, Reddit was on fire. Major outlets picked it up. Derek's face was plastered everywhere. He tried to deny it, claimed deepfakes. But there was too much. The patterns were clear. The evidence irrefutable. By the end of the week, Eastline Media suspended operations. The board resigned. And Derek, he vanished. No statement. No charges. No closure. Just gone. Weeks passed. Then I got one last message. No sender. He's off grid. Cayman isn't done. But you gave Lily her justice. Jay. I stared at the screen, then closed the laptop. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about ghosts. And some ghosts don't want peace. They want witnesses. I see you, Lily. We all do now. Asterisk. So yeah, that's how a popcorn craving spiraled into the unraveling of a corporate money laundering empire. I started out just wanting to block an ex from my Netflix account. But somewhere between deleting his Breaking Bad history and uncovering encrypted files from a boathouse, I realized something. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, precise, patient. Sometimes it's not about payback, it's about setting the record straight. It's about finishing the story someone else was forced to leave behind. Lily deserved justice. The truth deserved oxygen. And I just happened to be holding the match. But here's the thing. People like Derek don't stay gone for long. Guys like him always find new shadows to hide in, new people to use, new platforms to manipulate. He may have disappeared, but his playbook is still out there, being copied, upgraded, monetized. So if you're listening to this thinking, "Oh, that got dark fast," you're not wrong. But you're also not powerless. We all have our own Netflix profile moment. That second where something small feels off and you feel that spark. Trust it. Investigate it. Follow it. Because sometimes your ex watching love in the time of pastrami is just the tip of an international crime ring. And sometimes your late night petty revenge isn't petty at all, it's justice in disguise. So the next time someone tells you revenge is immature, smile. And maybe, just maybe, rename their profile cheater before you blow the whole system wide open. Asterisk. If you loved this story, or found yourself yelling "yes girl" at your screen at least once, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because there are more stories where this came from. Drop your wildest revenge moment in the comments. We might feature it in our next episode. Follow for more truish, twisted, to dash good dash to dash be dash fake digital sagas. And hey, if someone's out there watching this on their ex's account, maybe it's time to check your own continue watching list. You never know what secrets are buffering in the back.
I still remember the moment I opened that email. Deployed halfway across the world, serving my country. My wife had already decided to erase me by hitting send on a divorce notice and draining our joint bank account. No calls. Number. Warnings. Just cold, calculated silence. 6 months in a combat zone and back home, my life was unraveling faster than I could even process. The house, the savings, my dignity gone. And all I had left was a plan. A plan to reclaim what she stole without making a scene. Because sometimes, the quietest revenge is the most devastating. This is my story, not about rage, but about calculated payback. And trust me, she didn't see it coming. Asterisk, I never thought. The day I got deployed overseas would be the day my life started to unravel. I was proud to serve, proud to protect, but none of that mattered when I opened that email. Divorce notice line, divorce notice. From her, my wife Lisa, no call, no warning, just a cold digital slap in the face. I sat in that makeshift tent, surrounded by the hum of generators and distant gunfire, my hands shaking as I read the words. She said she wanted out, that she had already emptied our joint bank account, and that she was moving on. For months I was stuck. In a nightmare. No access to lawyers, no way to fight back. It's just silence from home and the taste of betrayal. The money gone, my savings wiped clean, bills stacking up, and my name dragged through the mud by people who didn't know the truth. But I wasn't broken. I was angry, quietly angry, calculating every move. When I finally got home, I didn't shout or cry. I watched, waited, and planned. Every text she sent, every late-night outing, every slip of her guard went straight into my mental ledger. I kept a notebook, digital and physical, tracking everything. I learned her patterns, her new friends, her secrets. This wasn't about rage. It was about precision. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't the loudest, it's the quietest. The one that leaves no trace but ruins everything. So I began, back home. Everything felt different. The house we once shared was colder. The memories felt heavy, but I carried them like armor, not chains. Lisa was living like she'd won new friends, nights out, posting pictures like nothing had happened. But I knew better. I started small. Quiet things. A missed bill here. A delayed delivery there. Nothing obvious, just enough to create ripples. I paid close attention to her routines. Morning coffee runs, work meetings, weekend plans. Every detail became ammunition. One night, I found out she was slipping around town with a new guy. Not that I cared about him, I cared about her hiding it from me. I collected screenshots of their texts, locations, little clues she left behind. It was like putting together a puzzle she didn't know I was solving. I opened a burner account. To send anonymous tips to her workplace about suspicious financial activities, I flagged the joint account transactions she'd made, the strange deposits and withdrawals. The bank started asking questions, and suddenly Lisa was looking over her shoulder. Every time she got a phone call, I noted it down. Every time she changed her passwords or closed an app, I marked it. I wasn't just tracking her, I was building a map of her new life, a web I planned to pull tight, but I kept it quiet. I smiled when I saw her, pretended I was done. I let her think she'd won. That was my edge, because the real game? It was just getting started. I remember every moment since that email landed in my inbox. As if it's tattooed on my brain, the way a soldier never forgets the sound of gunfire in the distance. Deployed halfway across the world, sitting in a cramped tent where the air never feels fresh, and there it was, the cold. Clinical words of divorce, unsigned by any conversation, no prior warning. Just an electronic severing of ties from the person I once trusted most. Lisa, my wife, had quietly emptied our joint bank account while I was fighting battles thousands of miles away, leaving me with nothing but a void and a plan that would consume me for months to come. I thought about anger, the kind that shouts and burns everything down, but I buried that deep. I realized that rage was a luxury I couldn't afford. Instead, I nurtured a quiet fury, the kind that simmers under the surface, colder, calculated. Every day since, my mind has been a relentless machine, cataloging every message, every lie, every shadow she cast over our life. The small details she thought she hid, the patterns she thought I wouldn't notice. They all built into a puzzle, a map of betrayal. I remember the nights staring at the phone, watching her social media updates, piecing together a life she rebuilt. Without me, her new friends, the dinners she attended, the smiles she flashed, all of it like a slap in the face. But I learned to see past the facade. Beneath the gloss was insecurity, fear, and the cracks I could exploit. I started small, subtle missed payments on purpose, anonymous tips to her employer about questionable conduct, hints that made her world tremble in ways she couldn't trace. I was careful. This was a chess game, and I was playing 3 moves. Ahead, it wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. It was about reclaiming my identity, my dignity, the fragments of life she tried to erase. I watched her falter, felt the shifting balance of power, but never let my presence be known. I smiled when she looked my way, quiet and unassuming, while I unraveled the threads of her new existence at times. I wondered if she felt the weight of my gaze, if she sensed the slow tightening of the noose. Maybe she did, or maybe she didn't care, but it didn't matter, because the plan wasn't about confrontation. It was about inevitability. I won't lie. There were moments when the loneliness threatened to drown me, when the silence became deafening. But in those moments, I found strength. I found clarity. I was no longer just the soldier betrayed. I was a man rediscovering himself in the ashes. This was my war now, not fought with guns or orders, but with patience, precision, and an unyielding will. Every step, every move was a calculated blow, silent but devastating. And when it ended, I wouldn't just be holied, be victorious, because sometimes the loudest victory is the one nobody hears coming. Asterisk, I remember waking up in that barracks room, the early morning light creeping through the blinds, the same quiet that always came before the chaos of the day, except this time, the silence was heavier, thicker, almost suffocating. It was the kind of silence that pressed against your chest and whispered reminders of what you lost. Lisa, my life back home. The future we planned together, now just fragments scattered like broken glass. The first few weeks after I got the news were a blur duty. Missions, radio chatter, all mixed with that gnawing emptiness. How do you focus on securing a base when your own foundation is crumbling? I buried myself in work, in routines, trying to forget the email that still burned fresh on my screen. But the mind doesn't forget that kind of betrayal. Slowly, I realized that if I wanted to survive this, I had to change the rules. No more waiting for her to make a mistake. No more hoping she'd come to her senses. It was time to take control. Quietly, strategically. I started watching, not just her, but the world she'd built without me. Tracked the patterns, the new people she surrounded herself with, the nights she disappeared without a word. Late night text, every whispered phone call, every social media post. They were all pieces of a puzzle I was determined to solve. I made lists. Mental notes that grew into journals filled with names, dates, places. I knew her favorite coffee spot downtown, the hours she worked at the boutique, the route she took to avoid bumping into mutual friends. It was like learning to read a language. I thought I knew, but had forgotten. Then came the small moves. A missed payment on a shared bill here, an anonymous tip to her employer about discrepancies in her timesheets there. Nothing overt, just enough to unsettle her, to make her question the stability she'd built. The silence became my weapon. The absence of noise, the quiet nudges that chipped away at her world. I wasn't cruel. At least I told myself that. I wasn't out to destroy her, just to remind her that what she did had consequences, that I wasn't a ghost to be erased. I was a man who had been pushed to the edge but refused to fall. Sometimes, I imagined the moment when she'd finally realize I was still here, watching, waiting. That the quiet was not peace, but a storm, gathering strength. Nights, the paranoia creeping in, the questions she wouldn't dare ask out loud. But I also wondered if she deserved it. If anyone could ever truly deserve that kind of calculated silence. There were nights when the loneliness hit like a freight train. The weight of the uniform, the distance from home, the sting of betrayal, it all coalesced into a crushing force. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, asking myself if this was what justice felt like. And yet, even in the darkest moments, I found clarity. I was no longer just the betrayed husband or the soldier far from home. I was a man reclaiming his story, rewriting the ending on his own terms. This was my war now, fought not with weapons, but with patience and precision. Every move measured, every step deliberate. I wasn't just surviving. I was preparing for victory, and when that day came, it wouldn't be with a shout, it would be with a whisper. A quiet reclaiming of everything she thought she'd taken, because sometimes the most powerful battles are the ones waged in silence. I remember the day everything finally shifted. It wasn't marked by fireworks or loud confrontations, no angry shouting matches or courtroom battles. It's just a quiet evening, the kind that slips past unnoticed, but changes everything. I had spent months building my life back piece by piece, like a puzzle someone had ripped apart and scattered to the wind. Every silent step I took was a move toward reclaiming control, toward healing the fractures left behind. I watched Lisa falter, the subtle looks of doubt she couldn't hide, the hesitation in her voice when she thought no one was listening. The carefully constructed facade cracked, I saw the woman who once had the power to erase me shrink beneath the weight of her own choices. It wasn't revenge in the way people think. It wasn't about destroying someone else. It was about taking myself back. It's about making sure she couldn't keep the story twisted forever. I closed the chapter on that life quietly. Sent a few anonymous tips that led to an internal investigation. At her workplace, a few well-timed letters to creditors, reminding them of unpaid debts she'd tried to hide. Nothing reckless, just enough to tip the scales. Most importantly, I rebuilt my own foundation. I found new rhythms in the quiet mornings, new strength in the steady routine of everyday life. I started seeing the world again, not through the haze of betrayal, but through clear eyes, ready for something better. The nights where loneliness threatened to overwhelm me gave way to nights where hope whispered instead. I started dating again, cautiously, quietly, and met someone who saw me not as a broken soldier, but as a man worth knowing. I didn't shout victory. I didn't need to. The silence was loud enough, because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't about getting even. It's about standing tall when they expect you to fall. And now, as I sit here reflecting on the wreckage and the rebuilding, I know one thing for sure. I am no longer the man she thought she could erase. I am whole. I am stronger, and I am finally free. Asterisk looking back, it's clear that life can change in an instant. One email, one decision, can break the foundation. You thought was unshakable. But what defines us is not how we fall, it's how we rise again. This story isn't just about betrayal or loss. It's about resilience, about finding strength in silence, about fighting battles you never expected and winning them on your own terms. Sometimes the most powerful victories come without a shout, without fireworks, just steady, quiet determination. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my story, it's this. No matter how dark it gets, no matter how alone you feel, you are not powerless. You can rebuild, can reclaim your life, and you can do it your way. I'm grateful too. Share my journey with you, hoping it gives hope to anyone who's ever felt betrayed or broken. Your story matters, and sometimes, just sometimes, silence is the loudest voice of all. If you related to this story, please like this video. It helps me bring more real stories to light. Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Your stories, your questions. Let's support each other. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story that inspires, empowers, and surprises. Share this video with anyone who needs to know they're not alone in their struggles. Together, we're stronger. Together, our voices rise even when we choose silence. Thank you for being part of this journey. Stay strong, stay silent, stay victorious. I am stronger, and I am finally